Hey, everybody. I've got Sheila here, and we are ready to talk to you about 2023 real estate market and the number one pillar of business that bought each of us the most business and what we plan to implement for 2024. So, thank you, Sheila. I'm glad that you're here.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. The Sisters Real Estate Team, is that what you said?
Sistersthatsell.com. Yes.
Sistersthatsell.com out of Texas.
Yes. So we are both from San Antonio. I actually live in a little town right north of San Antonio in New Braunfels. I moved there about 20 years ago.
Mm.
And so it's right sandwiched between Austin and San Antonio, if people don't know where that's at. And we've got two rivers that run through our city. So it is the place to be in the summer. Everybody wants to come down and float the river. So when you see those photos of masses of people on the river, they're in my town during the summer because it's
Wow,
so hot.
that is exciting. And I got to meet Sheila at the Elite Retreat when
Yeah.
I sat at my round table and started begging everybody around the table to be on my show. So thank you, Sheila. You're the
I'm
first one
happy
that
to be here.
accepted.
I'm happy to be here. Everybody else was kind of, I don't know what they were thinking about, but I was like, I'm in.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. So tell me about your business in 2023. What is the number one pillar of business, number one thing that's brought you the most business this year?
In 23, I would say, our numbers are a little lower than they were in 22, but I will say it's got to be our repeat business. For my sister and I, it's always our repeat business. But we were super intentional. We started a new campaign. Probably, I say it's new, but it's not really about the last 8 years. We've been really focusing on making sure that our past clients or anybody that we come in contact with that we know that wants to hear from our updates, or get updates from us about what's happening in the market and whatnot, that we just enter into our database, and we're making sure that we're talking to them all the time. So we have a specialty Facebook group for our past precious clients. And so we talk about a bunch of different things. We also do an email that shows all of the stats of what's happening in different markets. So the areas that we work are going to be San Antonio and the surrounding areas, New Braunfels, and we're very well versed in something that is down in Port Aransas, which is south of Corpus Christi. It's right on the Gulf of Mexico. And so there's a beach, a huge beach area down there. And so we are down there. We own property down there. And so we're down there all the time. And likewise have a lot of clients that are down there as well. So we do updates on all of those areas because like I said, our clients are kind of all over the place. And in Texas, everybody likes a little more space and feel free to roam. And so that's probably why we're handling so many different areas.
Good. So then it's past clients. So other than emails, what are you doing to stay up with them?
Like I said, we do client Popeyes. We still are doing our Popeyes just so they have us frame of mind. I always do birthday messages to each and every one of them. And sometimes in the morning it takes me a little bit of time, but I'm happy to do it. And it's a great way for me to connect with them. And I want them to feel special, especially like if I send them a video, letting them know that I'm thinking about them or I'm singing. I'm a lousy singer, but I'll sing happy birthday. Because I guess in my family, we always celebrated birthdays. So I wanted them to think that, I've thought about them, not to think that, but it's true that I've thought about them and that I'm wishing them a great day. Because a lot of times they may not have anybody that's wishing them a happy birthday. It might be just, my realtor's the only one that called me. And then, of course, in our Facebook group, like I said, we do a lot of the stats. And we talk about a lot of different things that either taxing wise, like the laws that change in Texas, or different things that might have a slight change to them or might affect them or might affect the general area around them. And I also talk about
establishing your knowledge in your base. That's awesome.
Yeah, and also talking about things that are coming to their areas, just so they're aware. If they aren't already aware of it. So
yeah. That's very good. Yeah, my number one source is past clients, but also agent to agent referrals. And I get a lot of those from doing the show, honestly, but as well as going to a lot of conferences and just getting to know more agents throughout the world. And I enjoy that. I enjoy studying the trends. We on the East Coast, of North Carolina, we're usually a little bit behind the trend. So if I can talk to my friends in Colorado and
Yeah.
California, New York, Texas is about 3 to 6 months ahead of us. So if I can talk to y'all about what you're seeing, then I could position my team and my clients for what's coming ahead. And of course, we don't have crystal balls, but it is a good indication.
That you're right, Jennifer. And that's funny that you mentioned that, because I have some counterparts in Chicago, in California, and Arizona that I talk to a lot, and a lot about the market. And I always feel like they're 3 to probably 5 months ahead of us, just to see what are they noticing, especially Chicago. I've been able to track it for the last 5 years. What's happening in your market? Oh, we're doing this or we're doing that. And then what do you know? It just starts rolling down in my area too. So it's funny how you can track those trails and at least have some sort of what you feel like might be a projection, because there's so much misinformation out there and people are saying sometimes the complete opposites. You feel like
what we're actually saying.
Yeah, the economists are even, kind of clouding or muddying the waters a little bit about actually what is happening. So yeah, I think it's always good too.
Well, it's kind of fun to learn about the different areas too.
Oh yeah.
So tell me, what are you seeing like compared to the past, last year before last, as far as this time of year? What are you seeing?
Our days on market are a lot higher. We were a couple of years ago not even on a 30-day. I mean, a house was, the good ones would go like less than and had multiple offers, less than in 24 hours. It was gone in 12 hours type of thing. Now we're right at 5.4 months of inventory.
So you're starting to get that balanced market.
We are. Yes. And then also I'm noticing that our pricing has kind of tad. Probably more so in San Antonio than New Braunfels. New Braunfels is a little oasis that and kind of more of a destination place. So it's not as hit as, say, San Antonio has been on a whole. And I just took a snapshot of some of the areas. Like I live like downtown New Braunfels, which is a super popular place to live. And then also going over to the west side of New Braunfels is actually the start of the hill country. And so we get a lot of people that want to come back and retire that maybe did a stint or did a basic officer training, because San Antonio at one time had 5 bases. So we were a highly military city. And so a lot of people come back and they want to live in the hill country. So that's a lot of clientele that we get.
Yeah, that's awesome. But that's good though. And it's good to know that we're starting to see a little bit, it's not quite there yet. We're at like 2.4 months of inventory.
Oh, wow.
So it's still a seller's market for most areas. I did a listing appointment in Curry Beach yesterday, and I pulled those numbers, and they're at about 4.1 months of inventory. So we're starting to see a little bit more of a balanced, definitely starting to see prices sort of level off now. I mean, and it depends on the area. Some are going up a little bit, some are going down a little bit. But if you take the area as a whole and just kind of generalize it, it's sort of stabilizing. What are you seeing with obviously interest rates are high, but are you seeing that it's affecting your buyers, your sellers? What are you seeing that interest rates are having to do with your clients?
Well, obviously on my sellers, it's taking a little longer to sell their homes than it was, say, last year or the year before. But on the buyers, it seems like the builders are offering. I just wrote something up last week, and the builder had a wonderful incentive. They had $12,500 for the buyer that could be used towards upgrades on the house or the purchase price of the house, which was also nice, or they could use it for the difference of any buy down. And then also they used their preferred lender, and they got $15,000 on top of the 12,500. Wow. Yes. And so all of that money is going to pay for, the non-allowables, and then also the prepaid. So buyers going to actually buy down their interest rate because they'd like to do a 30-year lock. And so that way I think we can get them a really good rate based on what we were talking about, just last week. Of course, it's a new build, so it won't be finished out for quite some time. We still got some time, but, I think it's going to be looking promising especially for that client, because that there's a lot of money that was given to them. And then also we're going to, appropriate their timing of the sale of their house. So it all falls in line for them.
Oh, that's fabulous. Yeah, we are seeing, it's interesting. My team and I were talking last Wednesday about the first time home buyer homes, right? So not quite low enough to be an investor's home, But the
Right.
first time home buyer, and here that looks like about 300 to 375. It's hard to find those, but even when you get those listings, they're taking a little bit longer now to sell because I think because of interest rates, right? A lot of those first time home buyers, it's put them out of the market, unfortunately.
Yes, it has.
And that's the sad part. But interestingly enough, so our average price point here is about 460. And my $1 million listings, which I don't have a lot of them because we don't have a lot of them here, but they're selling fast and cash
Yes.
buyers. And so
Yeah,
when I
I
start
thought
asking these, what?
Yeah, I think a lot of people had made some money in the stock market, had taken it out, had turned it into different things, and then thought, well, let's take our money out, our funds out, and use it towards real estate because real estate is still the best investment you can make.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I was going to say because I was starting to ask these people, like, where is all this money coming from? We had two
Right.
cash offers on a $1.7 million listing. And what they all said was, most of our money, truthfully, comes from up north. We have a lot of people that sell their house in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio. Our prices here are still less than they have there. Our taxes are cheaper, and we have the best weather because we're not as hot as Florida. We do have seasons, but they're very mild seasons. We rarely get snow. We do get it occasionally, but it's very, very rare. And when even the threat of snow, everything in the whole area closes down. But with that, so a lot of the money's always come from up north. But even outside of that, part you hit on was everybody I've talked to has been scared of the stock market, and they're pulling it out of the stock market and to house their house, especially now you've got 8% interest. They might have been making 11% in the stock market, maybe. So it's,
Right.
it's more realistic for them to take that money out and put it into a home that they could watch the growth of it because, our homes are still increasing. So I agree.
Well, and even if they had something, in a CD, it's not yielding enough of what those interest rates are. So it's almost benefits them, especially if they think it's going to be their last home or their second to the last home, to plunk that cash down and just pay for the house in cash than to do a financing where your rate's going to be higher than what your money could yield. So it just makes complete sense,
You're exactly
and being
right.
smart about the money. Yeah. Yeah. So I can see that.
And I think that's where it's important to get an experienced real estate agent like you or myself that could come in there and really educate people on those factors, right? Rather than a brand new agent that doesn't fully understand what they're talking about.
Yes, I appreciate the new agents because, I know they've just gotten out of their education and they're so excited. Sometimes I have to hold on, slow down just a second. But at the same time, there's a lot of new windows that I am able to. I know okay, let me give you a good example. In our area, we have a lot of foundation issues. And so, especially in San Antonio, part of it was built on a landfill. There's certain areas that still are a landfill in San Antonio. And then we have like 23 different types of soils within the area. So there's pockets in the areas that will have more movement than others. And of course, I know where all those areas are. So anytime we're looking at a house, I'm always going to mention it to my client. And then also, like, we want to either stay away from these areas if this is something you don't think you can contend with, or if the house has not been completely fixed and have a lifetime warranty on the foundation, then this is something we need to talk about now, because you could potentially be looking at an area, that I want to give you the heads up that I know historically has had these issues and probably will continue to be, just based on what I know. The other factor that we have is either we're in a dry season where we're in a drought, or we're flooding. It's either one or the other. It seems like it's probably not as drastic as that, Jennifer, but it feels like that sometimes. It's like everybody's praying for rain, and then sometimes we have too much rain,
Right.
But that also affects the soil greatly and how much absorption each different soil can absorb. And so, that's something that I know that I've had based on history, that a lot of the newer agents they don't even know what I'm talking about when I bring it up to them of like, hey, have you had this foundation checked? Or have you, do you have any reports on this? And they're just like, no, we don't believe there's a problem. And sure enough, I go in there and I'm like, yeah,
There's a problem
here. Yeah, we need to have all of these extra inspections, or the buyer needs to have all these extra inspections, or a seller, if I'm prepping them, yes, this is something we need to address now before we get a buyer. That way the transaction can go a lot smoother, and we know, what is our expense, what is our time, our repair time, or what what needs to happen, because that'll also dictate time on sellers' end if they need to move quickly or if they have time. So all those factors need to be looked at.
Wow. And then what are you planning to implement for 2024 for your business? Anything new?
Yes, and I've been saying it for a while now, and I just haven't taken the time. But I need to do more video.
Yeah, me
Um,
too,
I've
girl.
been I've been in the business 36 years, and I walk around with a plethora of information. I investigate, I research real estate. That's what I read in my fun time. I'm
Yeah.
always searching to either it's going to be doing research in certain areas, or I'm just talking about things that affect real estate. And not only that, but I belong to President's Circle, which is, the RPAC that our
Yeah.
National Association of Realtors has. And so I'm really big about laws that will, hinder and take away private property rights.
Wow.
That's huge, especially in Texas. I don't know how it is in North Carolina, but in Texas, that's a big, big thing because everybody wants their own little parcel of land. And so it's really, really important that I stay on top of those things. But I walk around with so much information, I forget to share it. And so I've made myself a pact that I'm going to at least start doing, a video a week. And if not, just sharing it with my clientele. And just some of the basic questions that I get from them, I think would be something easy that I could just start sharing, because just because one person has it doesn't mean someone next to them is not going to have the same question.
Sure.
And or it might spark a different question or whatnot, just so I can be that resource for them like I want to be for, all
Well,
things
I would tell you, so I agree with you. I do a lot of real estate videos. I do a lot of those. However, one thing I want to do is do more about our area and to start getting some of that organic content, right, for SEO purposes, for building out the website. But so many people are moving here. We're a destination station.
You
Usually people
are.
move here, retire, or second homes. And I want to go into like the restaurants and the downtown Wilmington and the family friendly activities. And we've got tons of music venues and kind of go into everything that I love about Wilmington.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, I think
that would be
so.
really
I've been interviewing videographers because I had somebody tell me that I should just have a videographer on my staff. To me, I was like, oh my God, somebody else on my staff, but just for like one day a week. So everybody on my team knows that we can expect a videographer every Monday or whatever. And I want everybody on the team to participate, and maybe they showcase their neighborhood or whatever they're passionate about. But I think if you just do it and you just have somebody that's going to be there to do it for you every single week at the same date, same time, or not date, but same day of the week and time, then you'll do it.
right.
So you need to do this with me.
Yeah, and I think that would be a great idea. I bought a house 6 hours away from me. I currently use it as an Airbnb when my son went to college.
Wow.
And I had limited knowledge of the area when I was going into the market. And so I was searching for any and all videos that any realtors might have done about the certain pockets and areas that I wanted to be in. Or, I wanted to be close to the university for him. But then there's certain areas that do work and don't work in around the campus. He went to Texas Tech. And so, just using the realtor that I did choose she was very helpful in educating me on that. But I do know that I was looking for all of those videos of anybody else talking about any of those areas. And I just was like, dang it, there's not much available. And so the more I'm thinking about it, of like, I know that was a stressful moment for me. And how can I make that a little easier for the next person coming behind me? Because I've never had to move. I mean, I moved 30 miles away, not even 30 miles from my hometown. So I've never really had to move where you're in a completely different county and environment and city. And especially like this house I own that's 6 hours away, I can't just get in the car and be there in half a flash. And so it's really, really important that you are fully aware of the different areas and all that's encompassing. So it just made me that much more, kind of reliving it through a buyer's eyes per se, by doing my own purchase of what buyers go through all day long. And just trying to, and it was just really, really difficult. And so I think if we're talking about during different lifestyles in different areas, I think that would just be great information, because that's what I was looking for. Are there coffee
See,
shops? Can he walk, or can he ride a bike to
that's right.
campus?
That's right.
Is there going to be a spot where he can work after school? If he's got too many roommates in his house, or what is the situation? Is there a grocery store close by? And just things of that nature that you may not be aware if you are trying to buy something in a different area.
No, I think that that's a great idea. It's interesting because I'm born and raised in the Wilmington area, and I did leave. I went to St. Mary's in Raleigh, which is about 2 hours from here, all girls boarding school for high school, and then Chapel Hill for college. But then I moved right back. So it's when people move here and they ask me a lot of things, a lot of times I take it for granted, right?
Right.
I take the whole environment, everything, not environment, but environment of Wilmington and being on the coast for granted. But I've started writing down exactly what people are asking, because you are 100% right. When you're moving here out of state, coming across the country, you don't really
Right.
know anything about my beautiful little town. And what a better way for me also to fall in love with it again than to get out there and start doing these videos in and around town.
Right. And the other thing I've noticed is we've had a lot of California people move into New Braunfels,
Yeah.
and a lot of them are leaving. And I'll be real honest with you, they were not prepared for the heat,
Yeah.
and they were not prepared we don't have a lot of the shopping that they have in California, i.e.
Mhm.
like the grocery store. Everybody has an HEB where we're at, and everybody loves HEB, but Aldi and all these other stores, we don't have our Trader Joe's. There's no Trader
Yeah.
Joe's in New Braunfels and things of that nature. And I just thought, oh, all these people are here thinking it's going to be like what they're used to. And it's not. It's a
Yeah.
completely different experience. So I'm seeing in a lot of the forums and having lots of conversations with people where they're like, it's not what I thought. I wasn't aware. And maybe I should have spent a little more time here investigating.
Mm.
And I'm like, that's good. That's good to mention if someone's only looking at how much does the real estate cost, because of course it's a lot less to live in New Braunfels than California. But there's other factors, lifestyle factors, especially like the heat in August. Nobody wants to be down here.
Girl, let me tell you, I've only been to Texas twice, and I went 2 years ago for my first luxury conference. And I think Brenda wants you to say hey to her, Sheila.
Oh, Brenda's there.
Yeah.
Hi, Brenda.
She doesn't have her glasses on, Brenda, so
Yeah.
and she's using her phone. So, but I went to Dallas 2 years ago for the luxury conference, and I got off the airplane, and it was 112 degrees.
Yeah. Welcome to Texas.
My menopausal self thought I was going to die. Like I was like, it was hot.
Yeah, and that's how it is. And I feel terrible for these people that were not aware and have made these life changes and moving kids out of school and the whole 9 yards to realize this may not be what we thought it was going to be, because that's got to be disheartening. I know how I would feel if I was in their shoes, but so that's just the difference. So there's just a lot of things that are going to be different, especially if they haven't had enough time to explore. Because every time they come in, I'm like, you want to go out on the weekends, see what the restaurants are like, see what the people are like, be up in the mornings, walking a neighborhood. It's best if you can stay in an Airbnb and not a hotel, because you'll probably be in the neighborhoods.
Right.
And also get a feel and a taste of for like what areas do you like, which is a great way to learn an area, is just kind of throw yourself into that environment and spend some time there.
So other than the weather, is there anything that is different about Texas? And I guess where I'm going with this, you just triggered a thought with me, because one of the things that's different with our area is because we're at the beach, people don't understand that if you have a mortgage, you have to have wind and hail insurance. And it's not that it's that expensive, but if you're coming from New York, New Jersey, Colorado, you don't usually have to have it there. So it is one of the expenses people aren't familiar with. Is there anything unusual about your area?
Actually, in Port Aransas, yes, because it is right on the coast, just like you guys are. So there is hail. the hail policies, high wind policy, as well as flood insurance. In the house that I own, that I keep saying 6 hours away at Texas Tech in Lubbock, Texas, it has I have to have a hail and high wind policy there as well. Where it is, it's in West Texas, so it's what they consider the plains. And so the land's very flat, so it gets very windy there, especially where it meets up and the wind factor changes going to the north. In my area, a lot of times what shocks people is that the school taxes. Our school taxes are really high. We have excellent schools, though, but people are not used to that. Like, say, in California, they might pay a state tax and have less in school taxes, but their children are in private school. When they get here, as long as we move you into a great school district, which we've got all the knowledge and all the details, you are going to be paying a lot more in taxes, but there is no income tax. So, it's kind of offsetting itself, but people are just that sticker shock of the taxes, it cost how much? What? So that is something that I think that people are a little confused about. And there's a little difference in attitude that I've heard. I just thought it was just a Texas thing, and I think it may be, but we don't have a lot of our land is privately owned. Like in Colorado, there is a lot of state-owned land where residents can go and use it. In Texas, you don't want to just be on anybody else's land. That's
you'll get shot.
I didn't want to say it, but that's what I would say. Yeah, that's a good way to get shot in Texas. So you have to keep in mind of where are you. Like if you go, four-wheeling or off-roading or something like that, you need to be mindful of where you're at because not everything is going to be public land. So we got a lot of private ranches and whatnot, especially in South Texas, in West Texas as well, where there's a lot of private hunting and whatnot going on. And so you just need to be aware of where you're at. And that's another thing. I know I've had some Coloradans coming down going like, there's no place to go. And I'm like, there's plenty of places. You just need to know what to look for. But under no circumstances, just, think you can drive up to someone's property and expect for them to be gracious in inviting you.
That's interesting. I've never thought of that. We don't have that problem. So we're just, good old Southerners, but actually most of us are not from, I'm born and raised here, but 90% of the people that live here are from New York and New Jersey.
Oh yeah.
But they sort of develop a different attitude when they come down here. They do. And it's funny because when their friends move down, they're like, oh my God, I hate my friend. He's so New Yorker. And I'm like, so are you? But they do have a little shift in attitude. They kind of slow down. They start wearing flip-flops, 12 months out of the year.
They're finally realizing. My mom's from New York, so I can say this because they finally realize that life is a little different than what they're used to. Because I keep telling my cousins that are still up there, oh my gosh, live in Texas because it's, it's so much different than their life. Their life is, it's the hustle and bustle, and I got to take 3 trains and 2 cars and whatever to get to work in the morning.
Yeah,
and
like 2 hours away.
Especially if they're working in the city and live outside of the city, that's a lot of work to get to the city. Where I'm like, oh, I just get in the car and go. That's all we do here. So so there is a huge difference, and in the mentality, I would say that we're, especially in San Antonio, it's a slower paced. Mm-hmm. San Antonio is a very cultural city. They are, it is mostly, the population is mostly of Hispanic in nature. But it's been growing like crazy. And so there's just a lot of things to see and to do, a lot of history. And New Braunfels is a little German town. Which is where everybody, right now, so we have Wurstfest, which is going on. It's a 10-day salute to sausage. And so we get a lot of people that come over from Germany just to come and experience Wurstfest in that town. So, it's just a lot of fun. There's a lot of different things that we do in each city that is specific to that city and also is what makes that city.
Yeah. Do you know John Young? Hey, John, you're so funny. He always teases me because I saw him at one of the conferences and he didn't remember where I was from. So I've been giving him hell about that. And then Lee McPherson was saying that insurance, they have wind and hail also. And she's in Alabama, Orange Beach, Alabama, and how
she's on the coast too.
Exactly.
Yeah. She's on the coast too. So yeah.
Yeah. And the one part is Florida. So what we've been seeing is there's 18 not real estate, 18 insurance companies that went belly up in the past year due to all the storms in Florida. That sort of starts to affect us a little bit because it's if you have 18 companies that have gone out of business,
Yes, that's a
insurance
lot.
companies, and there's only a handful that do the wind and hail
Yeah,
insurance.
that's a
So
lot.
yeah, it is. I was
Yeah.
just in Florida and they were saying that their insurance has tripled in the past year,
Mm.
which is
That's got to be
insane.
hard for homeowners that are, either looking to purchase or homeowners that are trying to just keep their properties. I hear
That's
that so much about the taxes being raised because our values are going higher in San Antonio and New Braunfels. And, it's the same story where they're like, I used to pay X amount of dollars in taxes and now I'm paying, oh my gosh, they want 3 times as much. Well, your house,
that's
I could sell
exactly
your
right.
house for that property,
Yeah.
unless we need to protest them or whatnot. So yeah, it all of those things affect everybody.
Right. So our taxes are pretty cheap here, and we do not pay school tax, but our schools are not all that great either. So that's probably the reason why. But John says he wants to hear more about your sausage festival.
Well, I don't want to call it a drunk fest, John, but
But you will.
everybody says that after you go to Worst Fest, the next day is the worstest day ever for you because there's a lot of beer involved. There's a lot of dark beer involved.
Yeah.
It's a German festival, so the whole town is New Braunfels. The whole town. There is a sister city in Germany. I think it's called New Braunfels. I know I'm saying it wrong. I'm not German, so I'm not sure how to do
Yeah,
it.
we'll
But
forgive
I try really hard. But this Irish girl can't figure that one out.
you.
But it's just a good time, and everybody comes and dresses up and is in the festivities, and it's about food and drink and a fellowship, And we
Yeah.
raise a lot of money for the areas that we're preserving within our city. We've got a wonderful park that's called Landa Park, where we've got all kinds of fish and wildlife that I know some of that money goes to. It also goes to the grounds where they've built this little German town. I'm telling
John
you,
says he's going to
it's like a
friend you
great
because it
place
sounds
to
like a
live.
great place
Yeah.
to live.
And then, of course, in the summer, everybody comes because they want to float our rivers. So we literally have 2 rivers that go through our city. So it's just outstanding and beautiful. And it's 20 miles north of San Antonio. I'm 40 minutes south of Austin, so I can be in downtown Austin. Well, I used to be before the traffic like that, but it's a good little spot. And like I said, if you go to the west, then there's all kinds of exploring in the Texas Hill Country, which is also another spot that everybody wants to be at. So.
Well, that's awesome.
It's fun.
So then, I just thought of a question to ask you, and I forgot it as soon as I thought about it. What's the best time of year? So summer is too hot for me.
Summer's
So
too hot. I do love winter. You don't really need a jacket.
yeah,
But you know what? My favorite time is springtime. It is absolutely gorgeous, and the birds come out. We don't have the 4 seasons like a lot of people do. In the summer, our stuff just looks brown, and
in the
then
summer it looks brown.
it's brown because there's usually
Too hot.
a lot of heat and we're
Got it. And
dry and
yeah,
we're
and
needing
dry.
water, etc.
Got
And
it.
then in the winter it's even brown, but springtime things start blossoming. The
Nice.
state flower for Texas is the bluebonnet, and a lot of times in the wild open fields you will see tons of bluebonnets, which of course it's customary that everybody has to get their kids in the take pictures in the
Yeah.
bluebonnets. And I know we have a running joke at the office where we all do it too,
Yeah.
because we're making fun of everybody taking photos. But I love the springtime in Texas, and it's a good time. Plus we do in San Antonio. They run Fiesta in April, which is around my birthday. So I was born during Fiesta, and it is a true fiesta. It's a 10-day event in San Antonio, and those proceeds all go to the little church of La Vita, which is a special town. And then don't forget, in San Antonio has one of the national parks, which is all of the missions in San Antonio. It's on the parks list. So there's not that many in Texas. I just found out this bit of knowledge, but we have all of the missions, which are just outstanding and gorgeous, each into themselves, and all the history that goes with them. Where all the battles were fought, and of course we have the Alamo. So lots of interesting. If you're a history buff, it's gosh the place to be. And of course, there's a river that runs through downtown San Antonio, which is the Riverwalk. This is the San Antonio River. So
Wow. So
yeah.
then, in just kind of finishing this up, because I know that you still have like 2 more hours to drive, and thank you for pulling over on the side of the road to meet with me.
No, my pleasure.
I'm very glad that you got internet.
Me too.
And I'm sorry that you had to do that, but thank you for doing it.
No, it works out.
So what would be, and just wrapping up, what do you recommend? You were talking about new agents, and you kind of sound like you really have you really enjoy new agents in their camaraderie. So what is an advice that you would give a new agent, that's just started in real estate? What's the one piece of advice that you would give them to be successful?
Well, number one, you need to make sure that you have a good support system. And I've been in the business 36 years. So when I got in, there was nobody had any teams. Everybody was an independent. And I love the team concept. I think it gives you a life. Plus, I think it gives your clients, it's actually, if you've got more people working, you can have someone fill in. So I think your clients are better taken care of.
Yeah,
and so if anything, make sure you have a good support system at home, because that's important. And then also join a team where you will get instant learning and on the streets. That doesn't sound right, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You'll get instant work to work on instead of trying to do it by yourself. Yeah, it's important to learn the systems that they use, what the processes are, because all of those things you will need as just not how to sell a house. Because a lot of times it's not just selling a house, it's just partnering up the right house with the right person and what their needs are. And so there's a lot of different things that you're going to need to know in the background, how to process it properly, how to overcome whatever issues that might come up during the transaction. And I think all of those things, you'll get really good hands-on a learning experience if you join a team, because you'll have someone to mentor you completely, more so than just a broker.
Yeah, agreed. And I would say pick up the phone. If you've got a phone and you've got contacts in your phone, call your contacts. Let them know you're in real estate. Ask them for business. Ask them to refer you to their neighbor or their friend.
Yep, absolutely. You're right. Because a lot of times someone may not think about it unless you ask for it. And then they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, Susie Q's doing something down the street. So
yeah, when I first got in real estate, I was scared to ask for the business, and my feelings would get so hurt when I found out a friend used somebody else. And they were like, oh, I didn't know you were in it. And I'm like, what do you mean? But you know what?
Yeah.
It was my fault. I quickly learned, pick up the phone and talk to your people.
Well, and I have found out that if I've miscommunicated over the years, it's because people are like, oh, she's too busy. And I'm like, I'm never too busy for you. I would love to do a transaction with you and help you with your process. That's my greatest joy. And so it's not that I'm too busy. I may appear to be that way, but I'm just doing what I need to do in order to take care of the people that I'm working with. So that's what's important.
I think that's a mistake that a lot of agents do. And I've fallen into that trap too, to be like, oh, I sold 324 homes this year, and I'm doing this, and I've got this one under contract and this one. And then people are like, oh, you're too busy.
I don't want to call her. Yeah. I don't want to call her and bother her with my transaction or whatever it might be.
That's right. That's right. Or, hey, Susan. But also, they also feel like, oh, you might not want to be bothered because I'm helping my son buy a house for $200,000. And I'm like, oh, please call me. I don't care the price point. I'm here and I want to help you. Always.
Yeah. Because that's so important, because to me, it's not about the price. It's about that I've taken time and I know that transaction last.
So Sheila, I think I was bragging about your internet connection a little too soon. Yeah, girl, you have left me. Thank you for coming, and I'm sorry you are frozen, but we are done for the evening, and thanks everybody for joining me. And if anybody is interested in being on this show with me, call me or text me 910-512-4080. And I look forward to it.